Welcome to the Tower Talk podcast, a place for honest and open conversations to support you in living your best life from the inside out. Join me on this journey of self-discovery as we explore what it means to reach next level badassery and cut through the BS. So tune in, stay a while, and I promise I'll be right here alongside you as we figure this shit out together. Have you ever felt like you hit a plateau in your fitness journey? Maybe in the beginning, you felt and saw change happening in your body and your workouts, but now things have sort of stopped or drastically slowed down. If so, first of all, that is normal. It's okay. And this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about progressive overload and how it is the key to overcoming these slow seasons in fitness. We touched on progressive overload a little bit in that RPE and percentage-based training episode a couple episodes back, but this one is really a deep dive into progressive overload. Also, we'll get into compound versus isolation exercises and how to program them as well. First, I have a very special giveaway to announce and a review of the month to share. This one is from Mallory, and it is so sweet. She says, I followed Tara on social media for years and absolutely love her posts, videos, and lifestyle and fitness tips. I was so happy when she announced that she was making a podcast. She's informative, honest, entertaining, and genuinely a badass lady. Her recent episode about intuitive eating and quitting alcohol are so great and relatable when it comes to learning to listen to your body and really honoring yourself. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us and being so honest and real. I can't wait to see what else you put out on this platform. Thank you so much, Mallory. It's such a kind review. I so appreciate it so much. Reviews go such a long way in supporting the show and can be as simple as a few words or longer ones like this. And as a thank you for just taking a couple minutes to write a review, I am choosing 2 winners in the next month to win a special giveaway. This will run from today, March 19th to April 16th. So all you have to do is leave a review, include your email, or include a screenshot of your review to emily@taralafrera.com so we can contact you to tell you if you have won. 2 of you are going to win a special prize. One will be $100 worth of Legion products, and the other will be a $100 gift card to my favorite athletic wear brand. So take a couple minutes, pause the episode, leave a quick review, and just send a screenshot or put your email in the review and you will be entered to win. Now let's dive into our episode. Progressive overload. What is it and why is it important for strength gains? Progressive overload just simply means doing more over time. If you are just starting on your strength journey, you're going to see these huge improvements. You are going to see so much progress in the first couple months of working on a new program than ever before, and it's going to feel so freaking awesome. But as you get started and as you get used to this protocol, it may be harder and harder to make sure that you're seeing progress over time. Now think about it like this. If we were constantly lifting heavier week over week, let's say we were adding 10 pounds to our squat, that is 520 pounds to your squat for the course of the year. And that is nearly impossible. I mean, maybe someone out there can do it, but this girl is not squatting 500 pounds. In order to continuously challenge your muscles and see and feel results, you have to find new ways to continuously overload your muscles, ways to keep progressing versus just plateauing. Now, progressive overload begins with whatever weight you can do with nearly perfect form. And what is, quote, perfect form anyway, because that all depends on you and your body, but the perfect form for you. So say you feel confident and comfortable squatting 80 pounds. Maybe you're able to hit 8 to 10 reps every time with really great form. That's amazing. And I'm sure it really took some time to get there. So once you've been at that point fairly easily for a little bit of time, maybe it's time to make some change or progress forward. Now, there are so many different ways to progress. So I'm just going to give you all the different ways and kind of give you some examples of each of them. First of all, lifting the same amount with increased distance, meaning range of motion. Let's say you start squatting and you can't get fully to depth. You can only hit above the knees or not at parallel yet. Lifting the same amount with better range of motion is a form of progressive overload. Lifting the same load and volume with better form, maybe more control or less effort. That same squat, maybe it's a solid squat, but it just doesn't look that great, doesn't feel that great to you. progressing in that is actually just having better form, more control, and less effort overall. Another way is lifting the same load for more reps. So think volume here. Maybe we talk about that 80-pound squat and you're hitting 8 to 10 reps. Maybe you're hitting 12 to 15 reps at that 80 pounds now. More volume. Obviously, one of my favorite, lifting heavier loads, which is intensity of the load. So adding more weight on. If you can do squats at 80 pounds for 8 to 10 reps, maybe it's time to bump it up to 100 or 110 and see if you can lift more at maybe a lower rep range. Lifting the same load and volume with less rest time in between sets. So this, now we're looking at the density. So maybe you are at that 100 pounds for squats for 8 to 10 reps. You're typically taking about 90 seconds to 2 minutes in between each set. Maybe you're actually shortening that rest. Another form of progressive overload. Another form is lifting a load with more speed and acceleration. So you think about the intensity of your effort. So maybe we're doing speed deadlifts. Maybe we're doing pulse push-ups, some sort of faster movement time. So we're increasing the intensity. Doing the same work in less amount of time. I always like to say this on a new monthly plan that I send out to my clients, is that the first week or two of the workouts should take a little bit longer. The goal of progressive overload could be maybe shortening that over time so that you can get in more or the same work in less amount of time. So we're thinking density here. And then also we can do more sets with the same load and reps. So maybe we're looking at that 80-pound squat that you're doing 8 to 10 reps at for 3 sets. Maybe you're now at 4 or 5 sets of that weight. So some things to note here, understanding that progress is never going to be linear. So just like I said, we're not going to add 10 pounds of weight each week. None of these would be the same or more week over week as well. So let's say choosing any of these, lifting the same load for more reps each week. It's not like every week I could add reps onto that. So it's not going to be linear, just like with anything else, any kind of habit, any kind of thing that you're trying to build into your routine. It could be going really well, and then maybe you have a little dip, and then you maybe have an up and maybe have a down. It's like the roller coaster of life, right? Nothing is linear. A huge thing here with progressive overload is that we are standardizing our technique. And like I said earlier, perfect form is perfect form for you and your body. So the more standardized you can make it, the better. That's why I always love competing, because it's a very specific standard of what you have to do for each lift, how long you have to hold, how low you have to go, the pause, the re-racking of the weights. Like, it's so standardized that across the board, everyone's doing the same. You can just standardize the technique for yourself. That's really important. And of course, I'll always keep this in mind with anything progressive overload, is that lifting can be dangerous if you don't execute it properly. And if you are not progressing with your body, and where you're at in your plan. That is so important. I have clients all the time that'll be like, yeah, I tried to lift 120 today and it was super hard. And I was like, that's because you lifted 100 last week. We're not going up by 20 pounds. A really easy way to lift more is to increase by 2.5 or 5 pounds. There's fractional weights for a reason, and there's these smaller weights for a reason. So make sure that you feel really comfortable at a specific weight before you move up.
What's up, talkers? I'm not sure if that's our nickname yet. I'm working on it, so we're just going to go with it. Sorry for interrupting this episode, but I am here to talk about our sponsor for today's episode. Let's talk about supplements. What do you guys like to use? I love Legion Athletics. Give me that vanilla whey protein in a shake, in my overnight oats. Heck, I might even just dry scoop it. That's how much I love it. The texture, the taste, the quality, it's top notch. Not only does it taste great, but they're backed by science. From their protein powders to pre-workouts, they've got the formula down. It's like they've cracked the code for better workouts and recovery. They deliver the highest quality supplements because they have a team of doctors, dietitians, nutritionists, and other clinicians making sure all the supplements go through rigorous third-party testing, so you know what you put in your body is safe. I may be biased because this is the only brand I've been using for years, but I think you should give it a shot. So if I've changed your mind and you're a little curious, head on over to legionathletics.com. Use code TerraTalk to get 20% off your next order. See what fits your vibe. No pressure from me. I'm just saying this could be the upgrade your fitness routine needs. Now back to more Tara.
With this, I also want to remind you not to worry about what anyone else is using for weight. I know it's so easy to look around the weight room and see what everyone else is doing and base your movements on them, but please do not. You can progress by intuition, body awareness, and cues, but following a program that is specifically geared to help you progress is a great way to see it firsthand. So now that I shared all of the ways to progress like on your own, here is a couple examples of how you can utilize progressive overload within your programming. Now, of course, I will always say, if this is new to you, if you need help with it, please ask a coach, ask myself, work with a coach for a few months. Make sure you let them know that you're really trying to learn and understand, and so that you can get a lot of tips from them so you can do this on your own. But the first progressive overload strategy that comes to mind for most people is training intensity. So that is how much weight is on the bar each training session. If the intensity is the variable you want to program with progressive overload, it might look something like this. So for example, if you are on a 4-week plan, which is what I have a lot of my clients on, and let's just say you're doing 5x5 squats, which 5x5 squats, I don't know if you've done that before, but it is hard, especially at high loads. But let's say the first week you're doing 5x5 with a percentage base of 80% of your 1 rep max. The goal for week 2 would be that same 5x5 3-minute rest at 82%. Week 3, 85%. Week 4, 87%. So notice the weight is increasing week over week. But another way to do this is to change the volume. You can program progressive overload in your training by manipulating the variables other than weight. So say you want to make volume in your training variable, specifically through progressive overload, the number of sets that you do. So for example, we can use kind of like that same 5x5 of squats earlier, but instead of adding more weight on the bar, our 80%, 82, 85, and so forth, we can actually just add volume. We can add more sets. So the week 1 would be 5x5 with 80% of your 1 rep max. Week 2 would be 6x5 at still 80%. Week 3 might be 7x5 at 80%. So the weight on the bar doesn't actually change, but the volume does. It may not feel like you're getting that much stronger since the weight on the bar will stay the same, but you're moving so much more weight each week by adding those extra sets. Like think about, we're doing 25, then 30, then 35 just over those first few weeks. And then when you switch up your microcycle, that will translate to an easier time lifting heavier weights. I will also love to chat a little bit more about micro and macro cycles as far as periodization goes, and I'll leave that to another podcast as well. But if you want to learn more about the percentage-based training and RPE, rate of perceived exertion, listen to my episode on 3 ways to track your progress. That will be super helpful for you to understand how you can add progressive overload within your own training program. Another part of proper progressive overload is rest. If you don't let your body rest and recover, you'll be half-assing your workouts over and over again. If you're trying to hit progressive overload week over week, month over month, you need to be making sure that you are recovering. It allows you to push harder and move with more intensity, which is also a part of progressive overload. Also, I just did an episode on this, how recovery, creatine, and deload weeks actually increase your strength. So if you haven't listened to that one, make sure you do as well. I highly recommend you listen to it. Yes, you should definitely listen to it. But this is the perks of working with a coach or within a program that is automatically programmed for you. If that's not available, it is easy to track your progress and schedule in overload in the previous ways I mentioned. All data is good data, so make sure that you're writing all this stuff down. It is so helpful for you to look at later on. Of course, some of the benefits of progressive overload, the progressive overload training will help your lifting regardless of which variable you emphasize. Sure, different variables will have different benefits, but think if you increase your training frequency, you you will be more likely to improve your ability to lift more often. And you'll have some crossover benefits and generally get you closer to where you want to be or what some of your goals are. For example, one of my clients really wanted to hit a 200-pound squat. And in just 2 months, we were able to take it from 165 to 200 with some of these really great variations in mind in her program. And now again, the benefits, breaking through plateaus is probably the biggest. Generally speaking, switching up the training variable will destroy your plateau, like it really will. So often when your gains start to dip, you'll focus on pulling on more weight without structure, and it almost gets you nowhere fast. But making sure that you're doing progressive overload encourages you to get more creative, more disciplined, and also keep you really consistent with your training. And again, we don't have to be moving up in weight every week. You can also keep the same week, decrease your rest time. You can increase your number of sets, increase your number of reps as well. Obviously, another benefit is getting stronger, gradually increasing intensity, aka weight on the bar, is just one variable. There's so many other progressive overload strategies, as I mentioned before, and you may even start your program with a slight decrease in weight if you're increasing over time, but either way, progressive overload training will make you stronger. Another benefit is mental toughness. You won't just get stronger in the sense that you will be lifting more weight. You'll also just be strong, like an overall stronger athlete. You'll be forced to maintain intense focus on making sure that you are tracking that progress and staying consistent. And it takes a lot of toughness to perform 5 sets of 5 reps. Like that is such a tough movement with those weights. So staying consistent with progressive overload will sharpen your mental discipline. You'll be lifting with your mind instead of your ego. Remember, form over ego, and this will serve your body much, much better in the long term. So now we'll switch gears and talk about compound versus isolation movements. A compound movement is a combination of muscle groups and joints. A popular or easy example is a squat, which works the core, your quads, calves, your glutes, and lower back all at the same time. And in total contrast to that, an isolation exercise targets one joint and one specific group of muscles. For example, bicep curls only work the biceps and only use the elbow. Most workouts created by a coach, trainer, or in a program will have a mixture of compound and isolation movements that are intended to work your muscles in a specific way based on your goals, what you have access to, and your experience. The key is to have both kinds of movements so you're working your muscles and body in a full body, well-rounded way. Now, I always will say when I'm programming, I'm going to put the compound lifts first in the workout itself. So you'll see squat, you'll see deadlifts, you'll see a bench press, a pull-up, a row, or something like that in the beginning of your workouts, overhead press even, because they work so many muscle groups and joints at the same time. So we want to be fresh for those. So for example, if you have a program that has like bicep curls or lateral raises or tricep kickbacks or something in the beginning, ask them why they did that. There could be a reason, but most of the time you really want your compound lifts first because that is where you'll get it's like the meat and potatoes of your workout. Now, the benefits for compound exercise, overall muscle development, strength and size, it forms really good foundations for your training. You can get so much bang for your buck when it comes to workouts if you have a short amount of time. If you're doing your basic squat, hinge, push, pull patterns, if you can only get in 4 exercises, like get in those 4 and you will get so much bang for your buck. You can also work out more muscles, but spend less time in the gym. Again, that shortened version of workout. Of course, I would love to see compound lifts, isolation. I'd love to see all planes of movement. So sagittal, frontal, and transverse. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? Using multiple muscle groups allows you to lift heavier weights in general. You engage and strengthen your core muscles, which helps mitigate most injuries moving forward. Now, the benefits of isolation exercises, which I'm not shitting on isolation exercises. I do them. I don't do them a lot. I honestly am the type of person that hates bicep curls because I love chin-ups and you can get so much from those, or I like a row instead of a bicep curl. I am someone that will never do a calf raise because I get so much of that doing squats, deadlifts, lunges, walking of my own. However, They can target and engage specific muscle groups. Like, no, we can't spot tone, but we can increase muscle mass in that area. So if you are someone that like really wants to build their shoulders, do your military press, which is a compound lift, do your overhead pressing, do your lateral raises, do your face pulls, do some shoulder isolation exercise, rear delts. Those are really good for that. Also, isolation exercises are really good for some sort of injury that you might have had, or if you have compensation. If you have an ankle injury, you can kind of work around it. If you have broke your arm, like you can still do some isolation exercises with that. If you overcompensate, let's say on an overhead press and your right arm is so much stronger, like you can isolate the left by doing some more single-sided exercises. Also, depending on the muscle worked, a seated position when doing isolation movements is usually preferable and more effective. Even standing still uses a range of muscles you may not be aware of. So for example, that lateral raise I was talking about, you are typically standing when you're doing it, but could do that seated. Some other easy examples of isolation movements is a leg extension machine where we're just working our quads, or a leg curl machine, just working our hamstrings. A lot of the machines that you will see in a gym are a little bit more on the isolation side, and you can do more with them. You can do more isolation exercises on machines. So with that all being said, just a few things to consider moving forward. How do you feel with your current workout plan? Just take note of it after you're hearing all about progressive overload, how I would generally program compound and isolation lifts. Do you feel like you're progressing, or do you feel like you've hit a plateau? What are some ways you can challenge your muscles and change up your routine within your actual program itself right now? Maybe within working with a coach, maybe with how you're progressive overloading. Maybe you can look at it totally different, and instead of increasing that weight over week, it is decreasing the rest, or it is increasing the sets or reps over time, increasing the volume. And then also, do you have both compound and isolation movements in your current plan? This is really great for you to go to your current plan, see what it looks like. Are you getting everything that I'm talking about here? Are you getting a full plan that really makes sense for you, and seeing progress over time? And of course, if you're looking for support in your strength training journey, I would be so happy to support you. I create custom programs for my one-on-one clients, as well as personal programming for your unique fitness level as a part of my one-on-one coaching. Both include programming that have mobility, warm-ups, cool-downs, recovery time, deload, all of that kind of stuff included. So if you want me to take the guesswork out of it for you, TL Method or one-on-one is where you can find me. Thanks for coming to this Tara Talk. I hope you're taking something away from this episode, and if so, I would love to hear about it. You can connect with me at the Tara Talk and at Tara LaFerrara on Instagram. A few ways you can help support the show and help spread the word. You can share it on Instagram, tag at the Tara Talk and at Tara LaFerrara. Send an episode to a friend, and please leave a review if the show is resonating with you. It takes just a few minutes, and it means so much to help this show grow, and it helps me to continue to bring on badass guests for all of us to learn and grow from. I am so happy you're here and excited to be on this journey with you. Until next time, be a badass with a good ass.